Hey, it's Chelsea. I wanted to tell you about one of my favorite parenting podcasts at the moment, Pondering Parenthood. They're fellow Vermonters who keep it real about the joys, the chaos, and all the surprises that come with raising kids. Megan and Mike dive into conversations that feel like chatting with friends over coffee. They're honest, vulnerable, and incredibly relatable. If you've ever needed a reminder that none of us have this parenting thing figured out, this is your sign to listen. Find Pondering Parenthood wherever you get your podcasts. Welcome to Quiet Connection, a podcast dedicated to ending the stigma around perinatal mental health. I'm Chelsea. Today I'm connecting with Stephanie, the founder of Connection Therapy Clinic. She joins me to share her thrust into motherhood, a journey that began with a chaotic labor while her husband was miles away on a ski trip, and evolved into navigating a late-stage autism diagnosis for her son. We're getting real about the death of the Pinterest mom dream, the clinical realities of ARFID and PDA, and why Stephanie chose to become the mama bear advocate the neurodivergent community needs. Let's dive in. Hello, today I am here with Stephanie. Stephanie, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you, Chelsea. How are you?
I'm okay. It's Crazy Monday. I feel
I
like
hear
I
you.
say that every Monday. It's crazy.
Yes.
But I'm really excited to have you here. I'm excited to get to know more about your story. I always say I like to learn as little about you as possible beforehand because I want to meet you for real. So, with that in mind, I would love it if you could introduce yourself to my listeners and let us know who you were before you were a mom.
Absolutely. And I love that you ask who I was before mom, because that person is almost like a distant person I don't even recognize, to be honest. But anyways, hi, everyone. My name is Stephanie. I am a mom to an autistic, ADHD, PDA, ARFID, amazing son who just turned 9 last week. And then I also am a mom to a Spitfire, neurotypical-ish daughter who will give you a run for your money. It is a little crazy with the two of them, but those are my kiddos, who I am as an individual. I own Connection Therapy Clinic, which we do speech and occupational therapy. And then I also manage Travel with Autism to try and inspire families to go travel all over the world to places that are more not as structured like Disneyland or Universal Studios and things like that. Before I was a mom, I did sales, I did marketing. I kind of floundered a little, didn't really have my direct purpose. But when I conceptualized, I'm going to be a mom someday and all of that, I thought I was going to be like that Pinterest mom. Like, my kids come home from school and they have cookies, or they have homemade snacks and things like
Like
that.
a craft
We're gonna
ready to go.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
exactly where I was going. I was like, we're gonna do crafts for every single holiday, and I that was the vision I had in my brain, that's the person I was going to be. And then, as you go into having an autistic kiddo and things like that, and I know it's very cheesy and corny, but the line that says, you have a plan and then God laughs.
Yeah.
That is 100% my life
Mm-hmm.
to a T.
Yeah. Oh, I feel that. That resonates with me. And I'm sure it's going to resonate with a lot of people. But you kind of you answered my number 2 question for me, sort of. I always go into, did you always picture yourself being a mom? And it sounds like you had a pretty clear expectation of what kind of mom you would be.
Yeah. So not only that, but I come from a very, very big family. Ridiculous. I'll tell you, my wedding was 230 people, and 85 of those people was my immediate family. Not even extended, immediate family. So I come from a very big family. With that, I always thought that I would have 4 kids, and, we would go to our religious celebrations and we would do all the things and the Pinterest crafts and the holidays and the outings and all those things. Well, I'll tell you, after having both my kids, and especially my daughter, the Spitfire one, I'm like, yep, nope, I'm done. 2 is good. Yep, no crafts.
With you.
No nothing, no Play-Doh, no paint. Can't do it.
Oh my God. I will avoid paint at all costs.
Yes.
Play-Doh, I'm trying so hard. Maybe this is my own sensory needs, but they love the Play-Doh, right? They love those sensory
Yes.
seekers love the Play-Doh, and I just don't wanna be picking it out of my carpet for the next 5 years.
I can't
Yeah.
handle the mixing of the colors.
Me either.
That's what I'm like, I can't. No, you've got to keep the colors separate,
Yep.
but I get it. How
Yep.
can you not create something if you don't mix them? But
I know.
that's me. So in my house, no Play-Doh, no paint,
No Play-Doh, no
no
paint.
rice bins. I have a strict 30 rule. It has to take me 30 seconds to set up, 30 minutes of me not being needed of entertainment, and 30 seconds to clean up. If I can't get a triple 30, I'm not doing it.
I think, that I'm adopting that. I really like the triple 30 idea. I love
Thank you.
that. Oh my gosh. So, with all of this in mind, I'm definitely vibing. A lot of
Love
this
it.
resonates. Let's go back. Let's go back because the vision you had is not necessarily the life that we are living
No,
right now. No.
absolutely
So
not.
the journey into parenting,
Yeah.
what was that like? That when you decided now's the time.
So my husband and I, we got married. We waited a few years because we wanted to kind of get settled. I am a very type A individual, and I was like, I'm not moving pregnant. I'm not looking for a house pregnant. I'm not anything. On top of that, my husband has never really been around babies or littles. I was like, all right, we're getting a dog first. We're going to
Mm,
start there. And, my husband, again, not being around babies or dogs or anything like that, we had this little puppy. We had a Samoyed. So have you ever seen the proposal and the little white fluffy dog in the
yes.
proposal? So that's a Samoyed. They get bigger and they stay so cute. But anyway, so we have this adorable little fluffy dog and he's like licking my husband and my husband's like, he's licking me. And I'm like, yeah, we're not having a baby anytime soon. So we had those growing pains we had to get through. So dog, house, got to the babies. I am also a very strong, independent individual where I like to suffer alone
Mm,
and in peace and silence, all that. So I'm going to tell you my story with my firstborn and my thrust into motherhood. So we get to the hospital, or not we get to the hospital. Let me take this back. That was my daughter was we get to the hospital. My son, apologize. My husband wanted to go skiing, and we live very close to some ski locations, like 2 hours away. I told my husband, I'm like, listen, this is the first kid. We're 2 months out from the due date. Go skiing. Worst case scenario, I'll call you. You'll come. It takes at least 8 hours. You're going to make it here. All right. So halfway through his day skiing already, I'm like, I don't feel any movement. And I'm, again, type A, paranoid individual. So my mother and I go to the hospital. They're like, okay, whatever. Because, of course, it's a weekend because these things never happen on a weekday ever.
yeah, of
So it's a
course.
weekend. And they're like, okay, well, we see everything's fine, all that stuff. We're going to have you walk up and down the halls a couple times. We'll send you home. Because again, I'm still 2+ weeks out from my due date. So I walk up and down the hall on my second lap. All of a sudden, the contraction comes.
God.
And I'm like, swell.
Swell.
Great. Swell. All right. So now, and of course, I'm skipping big chunks of this. I'm in labor and delivery and I'm sitting there. And then my he's going to make it. This is not the story where he misses it. He does make it. But he comes running in like ski pants, and I'm telling them that I'm like, I've got my husband, he's 6'5". I'm like, the really tall guy in the ski pants, that's going to be my husband. Just direct him in here. So he walks in with the anesthesiologist. Like at the same time, I think I might have forgot to tell him I was actually in active labor. So he just thought I was chilling at the hospital. So he walks in with the anesthesiologist, and they're like, all right, we need you to brace her shoulders right here. They pull out the words are escaping me.
The epidural needle.
Thank you. The epidural
Yep.
needle. And all of a sudden he goes white. And then the nurse is like, sir, I think you should sit down. I will say, side note, in my husband's defense, he's been up since 3 a.m. because he had to drive to the mountains. I don't think he really ate breakfast or lunch. At this point, it's like 6 p.m. at night. So we'll give it to him that maybe it was just a lack of nutrition. So he sits down. They give me the epidural. And yeah, so anyways, and then the rest of the birth goes relatively smoothly. We have our son. So that is kind of my thrust into motherhood. And it was really like I did all the things, no screen time, and I made the baby food and I did the nursing and all of that. And I laugh now because my son, as I said, he's autistic. He was very delayed in speaking. He was very delayed in a lot of things. And I always like to pull back at the point that I did all the things you're supposed to do. And I'll tell you a story after I had my daughter. I was like, because they're only 20 months apart, and my son being delayed was still very much a baby. He was not a 20-month-year-old, or 20-month old. He was essentially a 10-month-old in a bigger kid body. So I'm trying to nurse my daughter. And I'm like, okay, we're going to put the TV on. And I'm just going to, just for like, I found some sign language video easily from the 80s. I don't know where I found this thing. But I found it and I put it on because I've been trying for like months to teach this kid, even just like milk or help or anything. I kid you not, I put this video on. In 10 minutes, he like looks at me and is like, milk? And I'm like, dude, I can't with you right now. Are you kidding me?
Now is
So,
where you're going to show me that you can talk to me?
right, exactly. And then as like my parenting journey continued with trying to nurse and take care of a newborn and an essentially 10-month-old, even though he was 20 months, we watched every single Cars movie, Monsters Inc., you name it, all of them. And all of a sudden he's picking up words here and cars and ready, set, go. And I'm like, why? Why did I try so hard to be that perfect Pinterest mom and do all of the things and make his baby food and do all the things where he just had a different way of learning.
Mm-hmm. You touched on so many things there, and I'm curious about. I want to like dig a little deeper into it. So you were like your first birth story really was this like thrust into motherhood. Like, oh hey, things
Yeah.
are a little weird. Okay, now my baby's here. Oh boy. Okay. And so that takes a toll, and then you're mothering a newborn and a growing baby who you're
Yep.
realizing is delayed
Yep.
in certain areas, and that has to take a toll, right? Because you had a vision of what
Yeah.
motherhood was going to look like. How did
Yeah.
that impact your view of yourself? Like what how were you feeling about yourself in those moments?
I got to be honest, I don't even know if I can register how I felt as a human, like in an individual. Like I think back on, I'm one of those crazy people. I love the newborn stage. Like absolutely love it. I can function on no sleep, so like that part doesn't really phase me too much. I just love everything about newborns. And the one thing when I think back, I get very sad because I don't remember my daughter's newborn existence because she was essentially just a thing there. I tried nursing her. I only lasted about 2 or 3 months because I want to paint this picture for you. Because my son, again, you got to imagine and he wasn't a little kid, he was a big chunker of a kid. And he actually put me on bed rest in my pregnancy because he wasn't walking yet. He was crawling. So I had to carry him everywhere. And I
Mm,
mean, you're talking about like this 30-pound lug of a child kind of a thing.
yeah.
Um, so I've got him and I'm trying to get him to walk or move or be independent so I can nurse my daughter. But then he's trying to grab her. And then I'm like, okay, I'll pump because then my daughter was having issues because my grandmother always said, if you can't handle kids, you should have had plants because you can't, there's no way, like it just is. You just got to roll with those punches.
I mean, I
And
kill
so
plants, so I don't know if that would work for me. So
I do too. I'm
yeah,
like, unless they're screaming in my face, sorry,
yeah.
you're not going to get the attention, the squeaky wheel thing. But you're pumping then. And so then I've got like the cords and the things hanging and everything. And I do say, thank God he wasn't nursing because I don't know how I would be able to manage him not understanding why he wasn't getting an opportunity and my daughter was. Um, but I've got the tubes hanging, I've got the pumping machine, and it's, making the pumping noises and all the things. And then I have my daughter next to me in the pack and play, but she's not just in the pack and play because she's a newborn. So she's in the pack and play in the baby rocker seat. And then I've got my son trying to get into the pack and play. And then the pumping machine is going. And it was like, that's the best way that I can describe who I was. I was a cow and a mitigator.
Yeah. So
That's all,
I yeah, like so you didn't even have a moment to even think about you or like it
No.
no.
No,
No.
and then my son started all of his therapies at 14 months, so a couple months before my daughter was even born, and I didn't even register that there was maybe some type of neurodiversity involved because especially there's been this huge shift in the world of accepting neurodiversity and accepting autism and ADHD and all the other type of profiles, but even just 7, 8 years ago, it was still your kid isn't talking. Oh, don't, it's okay. Uncle didn't start talking until he was 7 or 5 or whatever it was. Or the phrase that I used to hear all the time from my parents are, your son, he's totally with it. I hate that phrase. I hate that
What does
phrase
that even
because
mean?
exactly what does that mean? He can look you in the eye. He can play how he wants to play. Like, what does that mean for an 18-month-old? So when my daughter was born, we were like in the thick of it. He was in speech therapy 3 times a week, and we were being told he probably needed occupational therapy because he was getting aggressive. So there was, besides the pumping story, now there's my son and his therapies. And it was like this whirlwind of like, I couldn't breathe. So when you ask me, who was I can't even answer that. I don't know who I was. I was coasting and I don't think I even remember that part of my life.
Yeah, you were completely in survival mode. Totally
Yes,
in survival mode,
100%.
especially since your kids are so close in age.
Yeah.
You were navigating so much, and you said too, like, prior to this, you kind of had a totally different, like, career trajectory and everything.
Yes.
Did you
Yes.
have any sort of background knowledge on neurodiversity or
Nope.
autism in general? Oh,
Nope. None. Nothing. Dr. Google or
Dr.
Google University,
Google.
whatever you want to call it. Best friend right there. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I was gonna say, like, you didn't have time to even think about you or your own needs. What sort of was your tip off that something needed investigating with your son, at
Um,
least?
yeah. So I'm trying to think. I don't know if I had like a tip off, if you will. My son was in speech therapy, so we had that going. And then I remember his speech therapist telling us after she brought me in and she had me observe one of his sessions, my son, he was kind of running into a corner. He didn't really want to engage in the session. And my speech therapist was like, listen, I think he has some sensory challenges. I'd really love for him to get some experience or some engagement with an occupational therapist who can help him figure out where those challenges are and maybe give us some tools so then he can come back and get more benefit from speech therapy. Okay, great. Fine. So now he's in speech and OT. And then a couple months pass, and the pediatrician is telling us, well, and I'll say this as this comes out, this is not the best way to say it anymore, but there are some red flags for autism. We don't say that anymore. Now we'll say we might see some characteristics or something that might be worth looking into, but at this point, it's red flags. And they're like, we suggest you get a neurologist appointment. My husband and I were still in this illusion that it was just speech delay, that it was just a challenge in this moment that was not going to be something that was a neurodiversity. Because even 7 years ago, neurodiversity wasn't even a well known term. It was
No.
the scary A word of autism.
Mhm.
And that's what it was. So, God forbid, and if you're listening and your child does have autism right now, please know that this is my story from where I was at 7 years ago. If your child does have autism, there's support for you, there are resources available, and it is not as scary as what you feel like it might be. And once you get into this world and you do the research, I want to stress that there's support out there, you just need to find it. So
Yes.
as I tell this story, just know that this is from 7 years ago of me not knowing a single thing at all and only hearing from like my parents from the boomer generation.
And what we
So
grew
this
up with,
was,
right?
and what
What
we
the
exactly,
limited exposure we had to it.
exactly.
Yeah.
So we're told there are some red flags to autism. We're like, no, no, he's fine. He's okay. He's no big deal. He's making eye contact. He's not stimming. He's not lining up toys. So we're good. Well, we put it off. We put it off. We eventually were like, okay, fine, we'll get on a wait list because it's a 7-month wait list, to get to see the neurologist. We get to the day of the neurologist appointment. And if you want to hear that story, that's a funny story, the day of the neurologist and
For it.
diagnosis.
Go
All right.
for it.
All right. Let me tell you this story. So again, we're going to strap in. This is a funny story.
We're strapped in, and this is a judgment-free zone, and we are going for it.
All right. So 7-month wait list. At this point, my husband has moved. We live in Southern California. My husband has moved to Northern California because we're about to shift and move to a new area, new job, all that kind of stuff. So I am staying at my parents' house because we also got new people living into our old house. So I am trying to get my son to leave to get into the car. He trips. He falls. He hits his head on the stucco outside of my parents' house and gets a nice long gash on his forehead. And if you've ever seen head injuries, they're gory.
Yeah.
They are not like, oh, let's just wash it off. It'll stop bleeding in a second or two. No. It's all down his face. And at this point, he's only like 18, 19 months. He is still very much a little. He's new to walking. All the things. Okay, so now we're putting compression on it. And again, this is the 7-month wait list. We waited for this appointment. And I was actively walking out the door. So it's not like I had a lot of buffer time to take care of this situation. My mother happens to have steri strips. So those are like little strips you put over something that would essentially maybe require stitches. We put that on. We put some bandages on. We drive 30 minutes to the neurologist appointment. I park the car. And as we are walking in me carrying him in, because it's a pediatric neurologist, so I thought it would be a space for a child. I notice the blood is dripping through the bandage, down his face, and I'm like, okay, it's okay. They're going to have a Band-Aid. I'll see if they have a Band-Aid. We walk into the office, and I'm like, do you have a Band-Aid? They're like, no, we don't. And I'm like, you're a pediatrician office. How do you not have a Band-Aid?
Yeah.
Well, so I got some tissues. We got tissues. Okay, so now we're going to walk into the neurologist office, and I have to paint the picture for you because I cannot make this up. We walk into the neurologist's office, and a pediatric neurologist, and it's like you're walking into an attorney's office. There's this humongous mahogany desk that the doctor is sitting behind. There are these like humongous mahogany bookcases that she has porcelain Disney figurines on, plus glass picture frames. And it's like at shelf height, counter level. That's the phrase, counter level. And normally when I go to a doctor's office that I feel like I'm going to have to talk a lot at, I will put my son in a stroller because I can't contain him because the way I now know he stemmed when he was younger is he would run in circles nonstop. And that's just how he regulated. So of course that's what he's doing. And he sees the Disney porcelain figurines. He's trying to grab that. So the doctor's like, so when did he start walking? And I'm like, it's in the form. I don't know. So she's asking me all these questions. I'm chasing after my son. She looks at him for a whole 5 seconds and she like hands me a piece of paper. It was like 10, 15 minutes. I kid you not. And I'm like looking at it and it's like speech therapy, OT, ABA therapy and stuff like that. And then it had like something on it. I can't even remember. And I'm like, wait, so does he have autism? She's like, yeah, obviously. And I'm like, huh?
What?
Yeah.
That was what she said. Yeah, obviously.
And we're not going to forget there's blood dripping down his forehead. Let's not forget the blood at this moment. And I'm like holding him upside down. And I'm like, wait, but how did you get to that realization? Because I saw you did the little knee flexy thing with the triangle. And you asked him a couple questions like, well, that. And then I asked you if he used to wave. And you said he had to be taught that. And when you picked him up, he went limp. So that's low muscle tone. I'm like, okay, but if you picked up any other tantruming 2-year-old, they're going to go limp. So it was like this whole thing. Okay, day's not over. So he's still bleeding from his forehead. I've got this now diagnosis prescription in my hand, bleeding from the forehead, crying in the car. I'm calling my mom because again, my husband's like in another part of the state.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what do I do? Oh my gosh. And she's like, well, you need to go to the ER because he's still bleeding. And it's like 4 hours later. So I go to the ER and my son has to get 7 stitches because of his gash in his head because it was like a vertical cut and not a horizontal cut. So they couldn't use the glue and the stitching. So forever, August 18th will be a day I remember.
You'll never forget.
Never forget. So that's our autism diagnosis story.
My gosh. And this is okay. So at this point, you had not had your daughter at this point.
She was 2 months old.
Oh my gosh.
She was 2
Okay.
months.
She was 2, so
Yeah,
you had a
she was 2 months old.
2-month-old,
Yeah.
and you just get this autism diagnosis in the most chaotic way I think I've ever heard. So you're juggling essentially a newborn, an infant,
Yeah.
and then this brand new
Yep.
diagnosis that you have incredibly limited information about. Um,
Mhm.
to you guys, like, he's just doing speech therapy because he needs some speech
Yeah.
therapy, and then all of a
Yeah.
sudden, the A
Then out of
word
nowhere. Yeah,
gets dropped.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly, and that's exactly how it felt, and we were I would say in this moment, I was mildly still in denial, and I want to stress that because I feel like a lot of therapists will see parents that don't want their kid to get diagnosed, or therapists will see kids be like, "Oh, yeah, immediately I know that kid is autistic," and they're like, "Oh, the parents are in denial." And I feel like that's one of the things that are very important to me is to train therapists to understand denial is okay. It's part of that process. There's
Yeah.
denial and there's grief and then there's acceptance. You are not going to get parents that are all in and like, yes, give my kid every single therapy, every support that they need that's beneficial until they go through that whole phase. And so even when I had that diagnosis for my son, again, probably because the experience that we had that I did not feel like my son was seen for who he was. I didn't feel like I was seen as a mother, as someone who genuinely, like, again, I'm an A type of parent. Like, I had all the ducks in the row. I filled out every single form. When they tell you, tell me about your child, like, I don't just be like, my son is a little aggressive and is a speech like no, like it is a dissertation. And this is before Chat GPT existed. So like it is handwritten there.
Yeah.
So it's all there. And that's the kind of information. So I went in with all of this and like essentially, I don't even know if I wanted to hear a diagnosis or not want to be honest. I don't remember where my brain was at, but I was still in this mild, there's no way my son, he couldn't have autism. No, it's my son. Like,
Yeah.
I did all the right things. I did them all. That kind of a concept. And so it's very hard to get into that moment when it's like, no, here's your diagnosis. Here's the big A word. And then I will say on another side of it, and I think this also doesn't get discussed enough, is your partner. And when they get on board, because I gotta be honest, I said I own a speech and OT clinic, and a lot of the reason I created it is because I felt like there was no space out there that honored me as a parent or my son. And I started this clinic 3 years ago. My husband stopped being in denial maybe a year ago. So just because you're at a level does not mean your partner is going to be at that same level in the same journey, and you have to let them take that journey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So many things that you said resonated and like set off like little pings in my brain. Like one of you took the words out of my mouth when you said that you felt like your son was not seen and you were not seen. And that's
Mm-hmm.
kind of what I was like alluding to when I was like, I'm going to keep my thoughts to myself. But like that appointment, it felt like you were just like in and out, right? In and out,
Yep.
like a
You were
fast
a
food,
number.
like a
Yeah.
fast food appointment, right? Like come in, watch him for a minute, and then you're yeah, oh, obviously.
100%.
Yeah, so like acknowledging that experience, of course it's going to come with confusion and denial and like you talk about the grieving process, of that is a grieving process.
Yeah, it
It
is. It really is.
you even before you get to the point where you accept the diagnosis, there's a part of you that kind of has to acknowledge like this is the vision I had for my child.
Exactly. And that's exactly what I was going to say is when parents who have autistic kids or have kids that are neurodivergent and we talk about the grieving process, I think there is a quick assumption to be like, "Oh, but your child's still here. You're not grieving your child." And I try to give this analogy because obviously I'll say majority and most parents love their child and do anything they absolutely possibly can within their capacity to give their child the best life that is available to them. When we say grieving process, we're not talking about a child that is no longer there. The analogy I use is like, say you're a doctor. Your dad was a doctor. your dad's dad was a doctor, and now you find out you're going to have a child. You're like, oh, my child's going to be a doctor. I can't wait. And you're imagining this whole life and everything that goes into that. Then you have your child, they get older, and they're like, actually, I like literature, or I want to be an artist. Okay, well, you're going to be disappointed with that because there was a certain vision you had of your life, your child's life, how it was going to play out, maybe having a joint practice, something like that. And that's no longer the case. That doesn't mean you don't absolutely adore your child and you wouldn't give them everything you possibly can in the world to make them the most successful artist or author or whatever it is, circus performer. It doesn't matter
Yes.
what it is. You're going to get on board and you're going to go give your kid everything they can. But you still had enough vision in your mind at one point that they were going to open up a joint practice with you.
Uh-huh.
That is the grief that we talk about. And that is the hurdle, because that's what it is. It's one step to the acceptance part that parents have to go through. You can't pass that level.
Yeah. Yeah, I think for every person, each stage kind of, it's going to be a different duration. You may go in a different order. You may
Yeah.
but again, it's not about me, it's not about my story, but coming from, we are a very neurosparkly family, and I can 100% relate to thinking things are going to look a certain way,
Yep.
and then having to come to terms with the fact that that's not the vision anymore. It doesn't mean that the new vision can't be something beautiful.
Exactly.
And it's not always going to be beautiful.
No.
It's not always going to be beautiful, but there is still beauty in it.
Right. Because if let's use that analogy, going to becoming a doctor, you're still going to go to med school. You still got to get in. You still got to do your board. So just because that's the life that you imagine, that doesn't mean life isn't going to come with challenges. Just on the same side of it, life is not meant to be lived without challenge.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just how you approach those situations, you approach those challenges that sets you up for the next stage in the next journey.
Well, what's really striking to me, though, is for someone who really didn't have much of a background in this and who was really slammed with a lot as a first-time parent and then very quickly a second-time parent.
Yes.
And I'm sure you you can correct me. It sounds like you kind of went all in.
Yes,
Once you got to that understanding and acceptance, you jumped in with both feet.
I did. And that's a little bit of my personality. And I have started to realize that, and as I'm learning more, I'm realizing that girls that are on the spectrum present very differently than boys. And there are a lot of women that are getting older where their kids are getting diagnosed that they're almost self-diagnosing themselves. I am one of them. The more I learn about how girls present younger that are autistic, I'm like, yep, that's me. I had an issue with clothing. Oh, yeah, perfectionist. That's me. Remember type A personality? Yep, that's me. All those things. And I'm also learning that you present yourself as when you're stressed out, that, oh no, life is good. And people tell you, I don't know how you're handling it, and you thrive off that. Yeah, that's also like part of it. All of these things.
It's
And I used to
masking.
live.
It's
Exactly. It's
masking.
all masking. It's becoming this professional masker and having all those internal thoughts. It's part of it. And I used to live, and I still do, but now I'm realizing it's not really that great of a quote, by Ralph Waldo Emerson, of do not go where the path may lead. Instead, leave a path or leave a trail for others to follow. And that kind of has always been my driving force with everything. And when there's this one story that I tell, that we're at a clinic, that my son was getting speech and OT and ABA. And if we want to jump into that ABA topic, we totally can.
I'm open to it. I'm open to it.
But
And
yeah,
we'll see where it goes.
So, and they were just pushing me in a direction that I did not feel like was best for my son. The speech and OT therapist, amazing, the best people, and that's why I stayed there. But it was a really bad experience. And I remember crying on a curb to another autism mom, like, what do I do? This is not the right direction. This is not helping my son. It's making it worse for my son. And I don't know what to do. And I think she like jokingly was like, well, just create it yourself. And I was like, huh, create it myself. I could do that.
I could do that, yeah.
How hard could it be? I mean, I could do that, and then I could do it, and then I could come with a parent perspective. I could coach parents and help them feel like they're not a crazy person, and then I can bring on therapists and coach them on the parent perspective from that side of it. So those two therapists that I thought were amazing, yeah, they're my partners, and we did it.
And you did.
So,
You created it.
yeah, exactly. So I guess I jumped in with both feet
You did.
and everything, and my whole body,
and your whole body,
and everything. Everyone, just come on. It's a pool
Come
party
with
at this
me.
point.
We're all getting in. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness. Yeah, I don't even know where to begin. I don't know where to begin because, well, okay. What's so challenging for me is that there are so many aspects of your story and your son's story that pull at me, that tug at me, that I'm like, oh, like I can relate to that, or oh, I understand that. And then I keep trying so hard to bring it back to you in all of this. And but it's hard, right? Because
it is.
you were, and I don't know if you would say you still are, like all consumed with both of your children. I mean, primarily your son's needs seem to be taking a little bit of a higher priority because they needed to.
Right, exactly.
But you had two very little kids. There wasn't time or space to even process what you were thinking.
No. And I think that adds to the capability of me able to fully either create the clinic or do the things that I do because I didn't fully process it. It was, I'm going all in because that's what needs to happen. And so I was able to process that. But when you're asking about me as a person, I'm like in this moment trying to think about who's Stephanie right now. We were talking in the very, very beginning, and sorry to jump to the beginning of that. I was in marketing and things like that, but I have a very hard time, and this probably goes back to the fact that I'm self-diagnosed autism. I have a very hard time doing something if I am not all in and passionate and pulling that line. When I did sales and marketing, it was always for something healthcare related. I mean, I even did medical waste, but it was still medical. It was still helping in some way because there needs to be more than just I'm selling a product. I'm talking up to buy Q-tips, kind of a thing. I need it to be connecting. And so I would kind of jump and I would get a little grief from my family, like, oh, Stephanie's bored with that one. Here she goes to another job every year and a half, 2 years. I'm like, I can't do it. It doesn't speak to me. I need something that I am wholeheartedly, body and mind. I cannot separate work-life balance because I need it to be all-encompassing. And so that's exactly, there is no separation. There is no Stephanie without Connection Therapy Clinic. There's no Stephanie without my son or my daughter. I will say that I can look back on who I was before having children, and I will admit I was a judgmental, not happy individual, and we'll just leave it those examples. And now I can genuinely say I choose to be happy. I went through a process where people would be like, oh, how are you? I'm like, I'm actively happy because I'm going to choose to be happy. I'm not going to approach this world and this life in this, how are you today? Still kicking. Here I am alive today because that used to be my answer.
Yeah.
And then I realized like how messed up is that for you to be going through life like still kicking, and you're in your early 20s. There needs to be a better route. And so I chose this phrase of actively happy, and then it actually manifested to being I am a happy person. I used to be very judgmental. You watch the Grammys and be like, oh, what's she wearing? That does not look good on her. Or like, they chose to walk out in public like that. And then now I'm like, you know what? If that makes you feel good about yourself, then you do you. Because I'm not wearing it. It's not, what do I care? Like, honestly, what makes other people happy or other people do certain things, by all means, enjoy your life to your fullest because I'm going to enjoy my life to my fullest.
goes back to what you said, when you were talking about how you were trying to, like, pump or nurse with your daughter, and you finally were like, "Okay, we're just gonna turn something on." It's a
Yeah.
shift in perspective. You do what you need to
Right.
do, and at this point in your life, what's serving you is like, you do you. You do you, and
Exactly.
I'll do me, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
But it's not said with a, you do you
Yeah,
over there.
no.
Like,
No.
it's said with like the most genuine, like, I genuinely want you to do what makes you happy, what works for your life. So if no screen time and no red dye 40 and no gluten and no whatever works for you, I genuinely want you to do that. For me, that doesn't work because all my son eats are chicken nuggets and I need him fed. But if
Yes.
it's one of those
Yes.
things like, I'm going to do me, you absolutely do you, and I will support you however you need it to be.
Yes. Ugh. Okay. You are you are hitting my heartstrings in all like I try so hard. I'm telling you, Stephanie, I try so hard to not infuse myself, but I can relate so deeply to the like I just can't invest in something if I'm not passionate about it.
Yeah.
Um
I agree.
right and and hearing you talk about like yeah, I am not separate from like there is no me without this. There is no me without my
Right.
son. There's no me without um I think that's something that I'm trying to adapt a little bit.
At the same time, that's not everyone though too.
No,
There's a time
exactly.
and place, like, that is me. That is who I am. I have always been about those that are closest to me, those that would go to war for me, those that are under my protection, like my kids, my dogs even. My dogs are my children. I am that type of
Yeah.
person. I'm sorry. I have 2 now, by the way. It's more than just the Smoyed. Now I have a Malamute.
My god.
And now I'm telling my husband I need a third. I
My
have issues,
daughter would
guys.
lose her mind.
But
One of her hyperfixations is dogs, all things dogs. So she'd
yes.
lose her mind. But
Yes.
yeah, you're absolutely right. I am it's like solidarity in the fact that like, yeah, I see myself in that.
Yeah.
Like tying yourself to what you're passionate about.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Um okay, I have to like breathe for a minute and like figure out what direction I'm going to go in because there are so many.
Okay.
I didn't realize how much this was going to resonate with me. And
I
I
love that.
truly, truly, truly try. I do not like to insert myself or anything about my story into other
Mhm.
people's stories. And so this has been an
Yeah.
active challenge because I'm like, oh my God, girl, me too. Oh my God, girl, me too. But I can't. So I have to like breathe and figure
Yeah.
out. Oh my God. So we have been talking a lot about like those early days of diagnosis, and then how that shifted you into this new career path and this new passion. Let's kind of talk about today because your kids are older now.
Yeah.
Right.
7 and 9.
It's not the chunky little toddler with the head
No.
gash in the in the so
Yep.
I
He
the
still has a scar though.
he still
I'll
has
see
a
it there.
scar.
I
So
still has a scar.
you
I
will
still
never
see it.
forget that day.
No.
No.
August 18th.
August 18th. I'm gonna remember it now and be like, why am I what about this day is oh, I remember. Stephanie told me.
Yep.
My God. Um, so let's talk a little bit about how your relationship with both your kids has sort of shifted over the years. And you've talked about it a little bit. Like your kid only
Yeah.
eats chicken nuggets. My daughter only eats chicken nuggets. I don't know
Yep.
if you do this, but we buy the chicken nuggets that have the plant protein in them too, so that she's getting
So I
something.
would try, but my son
You
is
wouldn't do
so
it?
very specific. No, he
Oh,
will only eat letter dino nuggets,
we
not
do
just dino
dino
nuggets.
nuggets.
Oh, no, because they're different than the letter
Letter
dino
dino
nuggets.
nuggets. Okay.
It's a different like breading, and I don't put it in the air fryer or toaster and oven. He wants it in the microwave. That's
Oh,
it.
so he likes it
Microwave 1
soft.
minute each side. Exactly. And those he won't
Okay.
eat chicken nuggets if we go out to a restaurant. He won't eat them if anybody else but like me or someone who knows how to make it in the microwave, which literally is throw it in the microwave for 1 minute each side.
Yeah.
He won't eat them. It has to be that brand made that way.
So
Now he does have a couple other things that he does eat, but it's pretty limited.
Yeah, for listeners, again, this is not where we would typically go, but I want to go there. For listeners who aren't familiar with ARFID, because we are also
Yeah.
dealing with ARFID, can
Yeah.
you explain a little bit about what that is and why it's not just picky eating?
So it depends upon each individual kid. And ARFID is avoidant restrictive, I forget what the I is, disorder. Intense?
I know I
Maybe?
can't
Let's
remember
just
what the
call it
I
intense.
look at.
Let's because it is. It's intense.
I'm gonna
All right.
Google it because while we do this, because I always forget what the I is too.
I
And
know.
and
Okay.
I was a special educator. I'm supposed to know what this is.
So let me explain it between my two kids because, of course, why would I have a kid that has ARFID and not also have a picky eating child? So I have
Exactly.
both, and I'm going to explain it to you. So my daughter is picky eating. It is the most phase type thing that every kid does go through. And she will eat the chicken nuggets, the same chicken nuggets that my son, quesadillas, and all those things. However, I can sometimes bribe her in whatever bribe that is for her to try something, to lick it. That doesn't mean she's going to like it. That doesn't mean that she's going to eat the whole plate and magically, oh my God, this is an amazing new food. She's still going to be picky, but I can bribe her to actually try something.
Mhm.
Or she can, within her own free will, be like, oh, maybe I'll try something. And that's great. That's picky eating. A kid with ARFID is a kid where trying new foods or adding on a new food physically does something within their body that puts them into a fight, flight, or freeze state of mind. And I will never forget this one experience. And I know we're talking about my kids older, but still, this was when my son was maybe about 5. We started doing more intense feeding therapy. And this is before I even realized that he had ARFID, and I thought it was just picky eating. But we put him at our table, which was a demand. So that's one thing that made it hard for him. I made him sit. That was another thing that added on to his demands because my son also has PDA, which is pathological demand avoidance, or the way I like to look at it, persuasive drive for autonomy. We can get into that in a second. All the lingo.
I
It's
really
great.
like that, though. I really like that.
It gives a better picture of what PDA is. But
Yeah.
anyways, at the table, sitting, and I put a plate out for him. Now, I want you to imagine this plate. It's one of those suction plates that stick to the table. It's got 3 sections. 2 of those sections are his preferred foods. I'm talking his chicken nuggets and blueberries. This kid is going to turn into a blueberry. I kid you not. Every time we go to the dentist, they're like, oh my God, this staining. And then they're like, oh, it comes off quick. I'm like, yeah, it's because it's blueberries. They're like, oh, we normally see this with like 18-month-olds. I'm like, yeah, thank you. Thank you for that nugget. Great. Anyways, then in the third thing, I have, I think, those same chicken nuggets that he eats, but I cut them into a different presentation. He will not touch those chicken nuggets. Not only will he not touch those chicken nuggets, he now won't sit at the table. And when I try to get him to the table, he is fighting me. He's kicking me. He is completely done with the situation. He will not touch them because it is presented in a different way. It's not just a kid who is having a tantrum. This is a kid who is in the flight and fight mentality in his brain because he cannot process that his food is different. And he's not actively choosing to behave like this. This is how his brain is internalizing this change in environment.
It's
And once you
presenting as
start
a danger.
Exactly. Thank you. Yes, exactly. It is presenting as a danger to his brain. And once you start looking at behaviors from kiddos that are neurodivergent as their brain is perceiving this situation as a danger, as a risk to their life, you start to change the way you approach situations. You're like, is this demand worth it? Is changing the situation worth it? Right now, I can tell you the foods my son is eating. He'll eat frozen meatballs from Costco. He'll eat these chicken nuggets. He'll eat a quesadilla that I microwave for him with the right cheese and the right things. He'll eat blueberries and he'll eat spinach if I put it in the smoothie he likes. You know what? That sounds like a well balanced diet to me. I'm not touching that. That's not the hill I'm dying on right now.
No. No. And I mean, I'm impressed that he's eating spinach and that he's eating blueberries. Um
Yep.
I am impressed. If he could have a chat with my daughter, That would be really cool. Yeah, anyway. So, yeah, and I ask that because again, like this isn't we're not all it's not all about this isn't like a lesson about autism day, but this
Right.
is your
No.
family and this is your
Yes.
experience. And I think ARFID is also very misunderstood. I think a lot of families are like, oh, they're just picky. They're just picky. Just put it on their plate and they'll eat it if they want to. And it's like, no, this is presenting as a danger.
Yes, exactly, exactly. And going back to like my daughter, I could take her and have food put on the plate or next to her so she gets the exposure. For her, she'll do that. She'll be like, I don't want to eat that, but she'll be able to sit there with it on her plate. My son would perceive it. It could have been a shark on his plate ready to eat his
Yeah.
face. And that's how his brain presents it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for giving, especially your family's experience with ARFID and your son's experience with it, because that adds another layer to parenting in general. Let's just say this to umbrella your entire story up to this point. Parenting in general is a battlefield. It's a minefield, and it very, very rarely is going to look like that Pinterest, like,
Yep.
portrait that we all have of the cookies and the crafts waiting for our kids after school. It might last for a
Mm-hmm.
little while, but it's not sustainable, at least not
Exactly.
for me. To add on top of that, you are navigating circumstances that you didn't even anticipate. I mean, none of us can anticipate what we're gonna face in parenthood. None of us can. And I think also speaking as another family who is a neurodiverse, it's all we've known, right?
Right. Yeah,
Right. So
absolutely.
this is how your family functions. And it goes back to like what you were saying, like, I'm happy. I'm gonna do
Yeah.
me and you do you.
Exactly,
Right?
and, like I said, when you asked me in the very beginning, "How did you picture motherhood?" or "How did you picture your life?" I was like, "Oh, I was gonna be that Pinterest mom on the porch baking cookies and being the cool kid, like, house that every kid comes over and does the play dates and does the things, and I'm gonna be that parent and or that family and all that." Well, let me tell you, my son, he's 9, he's had 3 play dates in his life
Yeah.
because it's just too much. It's too much to have kids over, it's too much to have friends come over, all of it. I am not that mom who everybody is like, oh, that's the mom of moms. I want to be like her, which is fine because that is not my aspiration anymore. Right now, my aspiration is I want the school to be scared of me when I walk in because they're not giving my son the accommodations. I want them to be scared in the most respectful way possible. But I want
I'm a
them
bear.
to know exactly, I'm coming in, and if you're not doing your job, I'm gonna call you out on it. I want people to know that if you're going to bully my son, I'm not going to come and be this soft-spoken person and be like, "Hey, do you think you can talk to your kid?" No, I'm gonna be like, "Don't mess with my kid." Like,
Yeah.
I will mama bear your child and tell your child that the behavior is unacceptable because it is. There's no reason in today's society that we should be teasing kids for being neurodivergent, for being autistic, for being ADHD. 1 in 5 kids is neurodivergent. When you think about that, that's insane.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane. No, kids are not quirky. They're not weird. They just have a different brain. And us as parents, kind of going back to that parent, it starts with us. So if we're seeing a kid, and I am very passionate about this right now because my son was bullied last year and he's had a couple remarks said to him this year. We actually ended up changing schools. So I'm like in this part right now as my son gets older, where some kid said to my son, oh, you're ADHD or something like that, which no one at his school knows that he is autistic because he's now at the stage where he's like, Mom, don't tell anybody. I'm like, all right, I'm not going to tell anybody except for the people who need to know. So your
Right.
teachers know, the administration knows. I'm not going to tell parents and kids because that's not my place. You can tell them if you want. And we talk about autism very openly in our family. My son knows he's autistic. He knows how to communicate his needs and his wants and supports that he needs. Um, but going back to the bullying thing, that's learned behavior from parents. And that's what truly is just like really getting me on fire as a parent because kids do not wake up calling other kids ADHD or something like that. That is from the parents. And I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah.
That's my current struggle.
Yeah. First of all, I appreciate you being so vulnerable and honest about that and feeling safe in doing that. Because I see you and I understand that frustration because just like you said, like 1 in 5 kids is neurodiverse. Um, this isn't a new thing, like we're being told. And I think if there were really more studies done, we would find that
Yeah.
most adults are also
Yeah,
neurodiverse. Um,
absolutely.
and I think again, this is me and my opinion, but what I think that says is that we all just think I don't even want to say just. We all think and process differently.
Yes.
Some of us, when we say neurodiverse, that can be so many different diagnoses. That could be
Mm-hmm.
autism, that could be Fragile X, that could be Down
Yeah.
syndrome, that could be, but we are not made to be machines that are clones and clones and clones of each other.
Right.
So, and even hearing you say that like someone called your son ADHD, I'm like, that's not even like, what kind of an insult is that? That's a
Exactly.
diagnosis, right? Like, "Oh, you're
Right.
ADHD." Like, well, I might have ADHD, but,
Right,
like, what
exactly,
does
and
that mean?
that's
Yeah.
like and that's what I'm saying, like, the kid doesn't even know, but you can tell the intent is
Yes.
meant with some type of aggression or meant in a mean way. That's like when you see a kid running around or having a lot of energy or something, you're like, "Oh, that's an ADD or ADD kid," or
ADHD, yeah.
something like that. Like, it's like, why would you even say that? What is the purpose? What are you adding to the conversation to be able to actually voice that out of your mouth to someone else?
The mama bear in me sees the mama bear in you, and I'm getting so much more fired up than I anticipated. But it goes right back to, and I feel the same way. It goes back to you do you and let me do me, right?
Yep.
And
Just don't mess
not
with
in
my
a
kid or
right,
I will
don't
be
mess
getting in your do you business.
exactly, exactly. But that's kind of let me know if this resonates with you, but it's like you said, it's not in a malicious, like, well, you do you way. It's more
Right.
like, why do we need to be pointing out these things about each other?
Exactly. Yeah.
Why
Absolutely.
why can we not coexist? And if you're
Right.
curious, you can ask me
Yeah.
and and let that
Yeah.
be that.
Right. I'll
Yeah?
tell you a story that just happened. And the most beautiful thing after talking about kids bullying, I'll do the flip side of that of how beautiful sometimes kids can be. I said that my son knows he's autistic. He is very verbal about it when he wants to be and he wants to share it. He told me recently that he did tell his best friend that I'm autistic. And I was like, "Oh, that's awesome. What'd your friends say?" He's like, "Oh, cool." And then we went and played. And I'm like, "Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's how it should be." It should be no different than like any other type of neurodiversity or neuro anything or personal
Or like the
preference
color of your
or
hair,
color.
right? Like,
Yes, exactly.
yeah, I dyed my
Like
hair
there's
red. Oh, cool. Let's go
okay,
play.
cool. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
No big deal. You do
Right.
you and I'm going to do me and we'll still go play and go push each other on the swings.
Yes. Ugh.
That's all it needs to be.
I literally could talk to you forever.
I
But
have stories.
I
I think
know.
I'm going to
So
write a book.
the
I'm on the
oh,
fence.
you should. You should, you should. And this is coming from someone who has been told repeatedly to write a book, and I'm like, I don't know when I'm gonna have the time. Please write the
Right?
book. Please write the book. I will read it. Um, so again, this has definitely been an episode where I've gotten more fired up than I typically do. But like I just said, like 30 seconds ago, the mama bear in me sees the mama bear in you.
Mhm.
And I think it's important to have conversations like this. And yeah, sometimes I get thrown off when I try really hard to pull the focus in to you,
Yeah.
right? I want to like get to the
Mhm.
heart of you when really
Yeah.
you're telling me all along, this is the heart of me. My
Exactly. And
kids, my son is the heart of me. What I do
yeah.
now is the heart of me. You've been telling me
Yeah.
all along, and I just had to listen.
Well, I get a lot of grief from people because I am a very transparent, like to a fault. There is no filter. There's very minimal anything except I wear my heart on my sleeves. If I'm angry, you're going to know it. I cannot hide it. I have tried and I can't. If something is going on with me, you're going to know it. If I'm ecstatic and I'm super happy, you're going to know that too. That doesn't mean I'm an oversharer, which I can be,
I
but
mean, I am.
exactly. But I am very transparent, and especially when it comes to the platform of my kids, both of them. I know we've spoke a lot heavily on my son and our path and our journey with him specifically, but both my kids and my husband and my dogs and everything about it. Like, I am going to share, and my heart is going to be in every single one of my stories, because there is everything that I am, I give to everybody that I can, and that makes me happy. So maybe it's a little selfish that that makes me happy to give to other people, or maybe it's the autism in me. I don't know which one it is, but I will take it, because I have to say, no matter on my most stressed day right now with everything I'm doing, my heart is full and I am happy. And I feel like what I'm doing and contributing to the world and to my family is worth every second that I do.
I think that that's absolutely beautiful. I will give you one of my terms and you can choose to take it or not, but I call it selfish selflessness.
Yes, I love
Um,
that.
yeah, because just like doing this, just like speaking with you, it's an opportunity for you to share your story, but it's
Mhm.
also an opportunity for me to connect. And I say every time I meet with a new guest, a tiny little part of me like clicks into place, or like a little piece of me gets filled. So I call it selfish selflessness,
I love that.
if that feels good to
Yes, it
you.
does. It does.
So you are free to steal that.
Thank you.
Um, I absolutely I'm lost for words right now, which doesn't happen often. So, let's see here. Okay. Before we bring it home,
Mhm,
um, I because we didn't get to talk a whole lot about what you have created and what you're doing. We've touched on it
mhm.
briefly, but if my
Yeah.
listeners want to learn more about you, everything will be listed in the show notes, but for the people who don't check the show notes, where is the best place for them to find you and the work that you're doing?
Absolutely. So you can find me on Instagram. It's Connection, Connection, Therapy Clinic. That's our Instagram handle, all one word. Or you can find me on my website, which is the same word, .com,
Easy,
connectiontherapyclinic.com. I keep it
easy.
simple.
And it's got connection in
All
there, so you can't forget it. This is quiet
exactly.
connection, and that is connection. Yes, you have no excuse.
Ex- exactly. It's all there. You can contact me on my contact information, my clinic information, my travel with autism information. It's all there. And if I may, what I would love to leave your listeners with are two things.
Mhm.
One, if you do have a neurodivergent kiddo, or you want to find out more information about neurodiversities, but you don't want to go down the deep, dark, scary web of misinformation, I do have an AI. It's called Steph AI, Steffi.
Oh,
It is on. Yes, thank you. I was very proud of myself for that one. Which is funny because I hate being called Steffi personally.
well, that's okay.
But
That's
it
your
works for the
AI.
AI,
Yeah.
exactly. So you can go on there and you can ask it anything that you want. You can ask it for prompts on how to do an email. You can ask it on, I'll say it, do vaccines cause autism? It's going to give you a response with case studies, large scale case studies on the findings and what you should know about, and not going into the web of misinformation. Any questions that you have. Hey, my mom is telling me my son isn't autistic, but I think he is. You can have a conversation. The deep scaries of, I don't think I'm being a good mom. And tell them straight up, you can cuss at it. You can say bad words to it. I've tested it. I've tried it all. Go there and feel confident that you have a safe space, and nobody can read what you're writing, not even me who created it, but it has my entire brain, everything of my empathy, everything that I would share to you. If you can't get in touch with me at 2 a.m., you can go on there and you can ask it anything. And the last nugget that I do want to leave your listeners with is, if you are stuck in it right now, you feel like you can't breathe, just know you're not alone. We have all been there, whether you have a neurodivergent kiddo, a neurotypical kiddo, you're overwhelmed, you have personal stresses going on. You are not alone. And the first thing to do is take a breath. It's hard, really hard. But one breath can lead to 2, can lead to 3, and you can do it.
I love that. You wrapped up my episode without me even having to prompt you. Stephanie, you're a pro. You're a pro. I didn't even have to do my little outro spiel. You just did it. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much for your candor, for your honesty, for your vulnerability, for your passion.
My pleasure.
And I am excited to follow your journey. So thank you
you.
for joining me today.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thank you, Chelsea. I appreciate it.
I am so grateful to Stephanie for her radical honesty and for reminding us that while parenting a neurodivergent child can feel like a minefield, you are never alone. If you're looking for more about Stephanie and her resources, be sure to check the show notes. If you want to connect and learn more about Quiet Connection, you can find us on social media at Quiet Connection Podcast. If you'd like to share your story, you can visit our website, quietconnectionpodcast.com, or email me at chelsea@quietconnectionpodcast.com. As always, remember to take a breath, refill your water bottle, and find a glimmer in your day. Until next time, remember, you are not alone. I see you.